Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello and welcome to the A24 project here on the Nerd Party Network, where me and Dallas King make our way through the A24 filmography and other TV shows, and along the way we aim to bring you interviews with the talent involved. In this episode, we bring you our third interview from Sofia Coppola's On the Rocks with Ximena Lamadrid, who played Mandy in the climax of the film. Now, this podcast contains some spoilers for the ending of On the Rocks, so if you've not watched the film yet, you can find it on Apple TV, and then come back here as Ximena takes us behind the scenes on being cast in one of our heroes' movies, how she got started in the industry and her journey so far, working in the Mexican film and TV industry, the challenges and benefits of social media, working with Bill Murray, Rashida Jones and Jessica Hennick, shooting in Mexico with Sofia Coppola, and much, much more. Thanks so much to Ximena for joining me, and I hope you too will enjoy this episode. Have you always been interested in the creative arts? Because you're quite a wide-ranging sort of creative talent.
Yeah, when I was 14, I kind of saw they did Grease, the show Grease, in my school, and I was just like a backup dancer, but I really loved kind of watching the actors that were, had the main parts. And so the next year I decided to audition for like a big part so they could cast me in like a smaller, like a more like supporting role, but I actually ended up getting the main part. And so yeah, just one by one, these kind of little things I did, I started falling in love with acting. I always loved movies, of course, film, and I always, when I went to see plays as a kid, I don't know why. Well, I guess a lot of people, they just are attracted to that, the fun that people seem to be having, and then perhaps there's this idea of glamour as well that I was attracted to in the past, but I've come to realize that it's not just, glamour and lights and makeup and action, money, it's not at all. You really 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 have to love it, because it is just a lot of work goes into it and a lot of constant dedication, and there's hard times even in the most beautiful of sets.
What were maybe some of those like early kind of films or performers that inspired you?
So early films that have inspired me, I don't know why, but well, I guess I know why, because it's the greatest film for me, is Titanic. It's one of my favorites. And I saw it when I was like 12 with my parents and stuff. And I don't know why, I fell in love with it. And I was just like, this is the most beautiful work of art I've ever seen. For me, Titanic was this just constant kind of chase for them, this is drama where it's this love and stuff, and then it's just tragic for me, and I got super into Titanic itself and stuff, and I don't know why. So that was one of my big star films of just being in awe of cinema, and then obviously a lot of directors that slowly I started getting really into indie film, which is why kind of one of the reasons I love A24, because it's not just, it's not this mainstream Hollywood stuff that they have. It's really unique scripts that they choose to produce. And so, yeah, this kind of film, Coppola, I love her work. And she's one of my favorite directors. So when I booked this small role, I was super excited to meet her. Her early stuff, The Virgin Suicides, Lost in Translation, I'm forgetting, Somewhere, I love that film. And then, then her later stuff, The Beguiled, is just this beautiful work. And this film was actually kind of very different, I think, to a lot of her other pieces, but still this kind of innocent and beautiful sort of theme that she captures really, really well. But yeah, back in the day, I don't know, I guess a lot of movies, but I would have to list them all, and it's maybe not practical, but I loved, there's a Mexican director I love called Iñárritu, and his work is really, really beautiful. All of his movies. And, other directors, authors, Terrence Malick and the Coen brothers, these guys, they write their work, they produce it, that they direct it. I was always super into that, how it's not just one thing you're doing, but it's the whole scope.
What's it been like to turn that sort of passion into a career? We're so used to sort of the traditional Hollywood route, but when you kind of look at your kind of background, you were sort of born in Mexico, then moved to the United Arab Emirates, and then sort of moved to New York to pursue a career in acting. What's been your journey like to turning that into a career?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important for me to give you more of a background. So basically that's exactly what happened. I was born in Mexico. I moved at 2 months. I went to Dubai. I was there 19 years. And my brother and I were super into the arts since we were kids. And as much as we kind of put ourselves out there, there's really not much opportunity. So we did take classes, theater, there was music, singing, school, outside of school, devising our own plays, this kind of stuff, but then obviously it got to the point of graduating. I studied international baccalaureate, it was the IB. And then from there, I was kind of like, maybe I'm going to minor in drama, major in, psychology, English, literature, language. Because obviously, the idea of just being an actor is kind of, people think you need a backup, or it's not actually sustainable. But one day, I don't know why, but thank God, I just realized, what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go all out. I'm going to do my major in acting. I'm going to apply to the best schools around the world. I was very drawn to California and not really that much New York, but I applied mostly in LA, and then I also applied to NYU. And when I got all my results, I don't know why, something drew me to New York. So I went to Tisch, School of the Arts, and I did the career, it's called carrera in Spanish. I did the degree in 3 years, I finished it. And it was really rigorous, a lot of discipline, a lot of showing up. They were very strict in the studio I got put into, because people think, oh, you just go to Tisch, but you actually get put into one of 7 studios within Tisch. So I was put into one called Atlantic Acting School, and they treated it very, in a Juilliard kind of way. It was, if you're late, if you're 1 minute late, they shut the door. You had to wait outside the whole class. You had to be on time. We were always memorizing, always rehearsing, always doing something, always kind of adding on to our work. So there wasn't a lot of socializing, a lot of commitment, and you really had to love it. And that's when we started learning. I started learning, oh, this is something that if I need to, the teachers would say it's like blood, sweat, and tears, So after that, I kind of had the idea that we were showcasing, we were auditioning for managers and agents. However, I was Mexican, so I was about to, my visa was going to finish. I had 1 year of being there on OPT after I graduated. But my plan was always, OPT, then somehow flow with it, and then eventually do sign with someone or get work, no matter how. But I was going to do it, and I was going to make it, and I was going to do it there. And then about 6 months after graduating, I came to Mexico on holiday, actually, because my mom was moving back from Dubai. And I kind of just stayed here, and I met someone through my grandmother. It was really random, who was an actor, and his wife was a producer. And he was signed to one of the best agencies here, a film and TV agency, where the manager, he's just really renowned here for his work, his actors and everyone. So randomly I got like an interview with him about a month later, and I just sort of stayed. It just stuck. Like I went, they liked me. They were like, just practice your Spanish a lot. This is going to be mostly, stuff in Spanish. And it just kind of stuck. And then I booked this show that was this tiny little show, super random, really small. And it still hasn't even come out. And honestly, it's just this, it was just, the first thing I did, and it was in Spanish. It was kind of scary, and I did it. And then after that, this director who I really like here in Mexico, His name is Beto Hinojosa. He's the director of Luis Miguel, the series. I don't know if you have heard of it. It's on Netflix. And anyway, so he sort of like found me through Instagram, but also like found me through, he knows my manager. And we sat down and stuff. He had this script. It was like an indie horror film, and I read it. Then I auditioned for it a few weeks later. This was last October, November. And anyways, I got the part, and I did that film, which was really beautiful to work on. We shot in really distinct locations, really sort of underground, weird neighborhoods and stuff in the winter. So that was kind of my second thing, but the first thing I was truly, really proud of and wanted to really, I don't know, I was really excited for that project. And then after that, during the filming of that, I booked a Netflix show, which is called Who Killed Sarah? In Spanish, ¿Quién mató a Sarah? It's not out yet. But we've obviously, because of COVID and everything, things got a little complicated. So I booked the show in January. We filmed it. We started filming January, February of this year, and then it sort of stopped. We were almost done. We had about 2 weeks left, and then we stopped filming because of COVID and quarantine and everything. So we stopped filming, and in I think September time, we actually finished that season, and then we went right into season 2 this October. So I filmed season 1 and season 2 there, and that was really something I'm really grateful. Obviously, you know, it put food on my plate, and also it was, you know, an experience. It was really difficult. It was it's literally called Who Killed Sarah? I'm Sarah. It's you know, it's this thing like I die the first episode, like the first moment, like, and then Sarah dies, and then you're figuring out who killed her, right? So then it turns out season 2, she's like schizophrenic and stuff. So it was a really big acting challenge, plus in Spanish, because my first language, I do consider it to be English, even though I am Mexican, and I spoke only Spanish till I was about 5. But then from then onwards, you know, it was really just English. So that was a great experience, and I was also really happy for it to be over, because it was a struggle, emotionally, physically, a lot of calls, a lot of days at work, and so I'm grateful for that, and I'm also grateful it's, you know, behind me now, and I'm excited to see it. It's kind of, honestly, filming here is very different. I think it's not Hollywood. It's has a different vibe. I'm sure you've heard of like telenovelas, which is sort of Mexican TV shows that are kind of quickly done, cheaply done. That's a lot of the stuff that they focus on here, because believe it or not, more Mexicans than not, they watch that stuff and they love it. So obviously, since I got here, I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. And I haven't done it. But even doing stuff, even if it's in Netflix, it does feel sometimes, it feels different. It's a different sort of material, you know. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, my job is to do the greatest performance I can and betray this character in the most honest way. So I do that, you know, and I'm happy about that.
That's incredible. When did you sort of first hear about the opportunity for On the Rocks? And obviously you mentioned you were a fan of Sofia Coppola's work. What's it like when you hear, would you be interested in going for the new Sofia Coppola movie?
So this is a really beautiful story. This was last summer, you know, not this summer, the summer of 2019. I get a WhatsApp message, like on just a text, like, hi, are you interested in doing this audition? My name is Moises, and I'm doing this audition thing. I saw you. I would love to see you to record it, you know, to film the audition and send it off. It's for a project. And I was like, who are you? You know, why do you have my number? This kind of stuff. And obviously it's Mexico as well. So you're like, this is sketchy. And so I asked that, and he's just like, look, like, this is me, this is a production company, and honestly, it's an audition for a really big project. I'm not really meant to say anything, but just so you know, it's Sofia Coppola. And the minute I heard that, I was like, he said it was through a voice note, and the minute I heard that, I was like, what? Like, this guy better be legit. So I was like, yeah, I'm super down. He said he found me. He explained it there. Obviously, I was like, so, but how do you have my number still? And so he told me he had found me on the website of my agency, because I'll tell you after. So yeah, he found me on the website of my agency. He said I had the look that they were looking for, and he would have, and then he saw my name, but he didn't want to contact my agency because it was just like a 1-day shoot. So he contacted me through, he found my Instagram, and then he saw that I had like a mutual friend of his, and then he got my number from that mutual friend. So it was like that. And then I auditioned with him in like, he had this like cool space, kind of a brick wall and good lighting. And then he helped me, he did the tape. The audition was literally just me having to say, hi, like that, just hi, which is a scene, you know, all I say is hi. But it was like, oh my God, like I have to do the hi naturally, you know, it's just like when it's harder to do a scene where all you have to say is hi. But I kind of had the idea. And then you're probably thinking, why did they cast me? Like, why randomly this chick from Mexico? But basically, they shot that whole thing in Puerto Vallarta, like a couple hours from Puerto Vallarta, in this beautiful beach. They were shooting, so they didn't want to fly out an actress from the States, all of this, pay them, you know, all of that just for this one tiny moment. So they were like, let's find an actress who lives in Mexico, but she needs to be like American and, you know, look, you know, I don't know, like not obviously be Hispanic maybe, but rather just say hi in a normal kind of American accent. So that's why they were looking in Mexico. And then I did the audition. He was like, it's you and like 7 other girls saying hi. And then, but you know, you just look like a Coppola character, you know? And I always like for example, I'm a really big fan of Elle Fanning, and she's in a couple of Coppola's movies. And I just always wanted to be like her sister in a movie too. That's kind of one of my dreams. So, and you know, I see Coppola, I'm like, I see the girls she chooses and stuff. And I sort of I've always wanted to be a part of that sort of essence, you know, that she captures, which I feel that I do have. So yeah, a couple of days later, I did get the part and I was super excited. And then they flew me out, and they flew me out to Puerto Vallarta, and I stayed in this little kind of hut right on the ocean. It was so beautiful. Not where they were staying, obviously, but it was still really beautiful. And then literally my call was at like 6 o'clock. We got there at 6. It was like hair and makeup, everything. At first, I couldn't find Bill Murray, which is like, I feel like just typical of him. And they were like, where's Bill? I think we saw him at the gym. I don't know, like they had lost Bill. So, you know, we waited for a while. It was like 4 or 5 hours just kind of waiting. And I think we got to set, me and Jessica. She's the girl who what's her name? She gave it, Fiona in the movie. So she's really, really awesome. She's actually, I think she's English. I don't think Scottish, but I think English. And she was really, really cool to just kind of chill with and relax me, because I was scared. I was like, I know I'm going to be starstruck. And she was like, don't worry, like Sofia's super chilled. Rashida and Bill are amazing. So it was lovely to talk to her and, you know, ask her about her background and how she's kind of making it through as a working actor. She's very successful. She's done Game of Thrones and a lot of other stuff. So I was just waiting with her, and then around, I think 1 or 2 in the morning, we kind of got there and did the scene. Bill showed up, Rashida showed up, Sofia showed up. She was like, hi, nice to meet you. I like shook her hand. I was like, hi, nice to meet you. You know, I just didn't say anything. I was like, And then we did the scene. They shot on film. I think Sofia always shoots on film. So it was very quick, you know, there wasn't a lot of takes. It was like, all right, close up, close up, close up, close up, like 2 takes, 1 take, 2 takes, got it, done. We were done in about an hour and a half. And, you know, it's a really short scene. It's a lot of kind of Fifi. Jessica's kind of on the phone talking, and then, you know, Jessica comes out with me, and Rashida's on the phone talking to her husband, and then like she's kind of with us, and it's this really comedic moment. I had a chance to meet Bill and Rashida kind of before the scene, which was nice. It's like, hi, how are you? Bill was like, where did you come from? It was this really funny moment. And then we just did the scene. And yeah, that's pretty much the story. It was really funny how he found me like through the website, and then found my Instagram, and then found a mutual friend. But I'm really grateful to him because, because of him, I got to audition and I got to get the part. And as small as the part was, for me, it was just, that movie is my first feature. That's my feature debut, even if I just say hi, it was just a very, very, very special experience and opportunity for me.
In a way, you sort of describe it as it's like the small scene, but for me, it's the punchline of the film. It's like the big payoff. Like, we have built up this whole movie of like, is he a love cheat? We're finally going to storm this like hotel room, and it's like, what we're going to find in there? We hear some like giggling, and then it's obviously you and Jessica Hennick.
Yeah.
When you sort of like, we expect to obviously find sort of Dean cheating, but instead we're sort of greeted by sort of you and kind of the face mask, etc. Did you sort of have a full awareness of what the whole film was, or did you just have your scene to kind of work on and guess what was kind of going on, or did you Jessica to go, well, basically this is what's happened, which has led to this kind of?
Yeah, actually, that's a really good question. Almost always in auditions, they just give you kind of the scene, or snippets of the scene. I think I was literally just given a page or 2 pages when I did the audition. And then, the guy, he knew, he was like, that's going to be Bill and this is going to be Rashida. And I was like, ooh. And then we did the scene. Obviously the scene's a little longer than what I got. I did know kind of that it was this moment where she find, you have I did have the storyline by that point. I knew that, she's Rashida's kind of doubting about his, fidelity and everything. And then she so much that she goes all the way to Mexico, and then they shot a day before I got there. So, they're shooting there and they're just kind of there. And then there's this like little party moment or that, kind of scene in the beach. And then they come up to the house. And so I knew that much, but I definitely I did not read the script. I didn't know how when I watched the movie, it was just, my boyfriend and I saw it and we thought it was the cutest film. We just thought it was this beautiful, innocent, just something that we're missing right now in the movies. I feel like everything is this dark kind of messed up stuff, and we saw this movie and it was kind of this breath of fresh air of like, oh, a movie can be nice and have a nice ending and have this beautiful father-daughter moment and have comedy, but also be, beautiful for even children to watch it. So I don't know, I didn't know exactly how it was going to be, but it's a very different film to her others, and it was really beautiful.
Bill Murray's face cracks me up so much in that scene. Like, there he is, like hiding behind the tree, and then you appear, and he just seems to be like the cat that got the cream. Like, oh, like what's going on here? Oh yeah, I'll go for like a drink with these women and so on.
Yeah. And
what was it like to play off like a comedy icon like Bill Murray? Does that come with like a pressure to kind of match him, or is that something that comes naturally to you with all your training?
Oh, well, I don't know, like for a reason, I believe that in life, kind of everything that happens to you, it happens when you're ready, or even if you feel you're not ready, like you are ready. So I didn't know I would feel so starstruck kind of when I did the scene. Actually, my boyfriend, like, he's like, babe, like you look so nervous, but it's because he knows me, like I do. I think if you see it from like around some other friends that saw it, they were like, no, you look like, I don't know, like you look like you're kind of just like, hey, like what are you doing? I don't know, like everyone had different opinions, but I was like really nervous. Bill, he's very impulsive, he's really natural, like intuitive, so he was just doing his own thing. He just has fun. I don't know if it was because he, now looking at the movie, that's just his character, or he's just like that, but he was kind of just like in this, they cut it. Like, I was really sad. They cut this little moment where they're like, this is my friend Mandy, and he goes, hey Mandy, you know, like, because, and then you look at the whole movie, that's what he's doing. He's flirting with every woman, you know, young or old. So he kind of was doing that with me. Like he was looking at me in the scene when we were filming and stuff, and I did feel this like, oh my god, Bill's just looking at me, you know, which is so his character in the movie. So I did feel that, and I just played with it, of course. Like, it is training, it is like, you're not just like, I'm not this non-actor doing it for the first time, feel, oh my god, shit, like, face on the ground. No, it was kind of like, why are you looking at me, you know, kind of like, what would Mandy be feeling in that moment, because she it's weird, you know. And also the relationship between Mandy and Fifi is weird. It's like, wait, so is Mandy her friend? We were kind of just like making these ideas before we did the scene, me and Jessica, like, who is she, you know? But yeah, that moment was definitely had a lot of fun playing off of his reactions towards the moment and towards me. So yeah, that was nice.
You touched on it there, that talking with Jessica about what is this relationship between like Mandy and Fiona. Like, my interpretation when I watched that was like, oh, they're a couple, that's the joke all along, that the woman viewed as a threat is actually just not interested in men altogether. But then I was watching it going, now, is that just me interpreting that of like, it's just two girls just having a girls' night, or is it this different punchline? What kind of conclusion did you guys come to? And did you have any sort of input from Sofia and the script onto what that relationship was like? Or was it just the freedom for you guys to play?
Yeah. There was no input from Sofia. I was just like, Sofia's a genius. Like, you know, it's this super ambiguous thing. I don't even know if she knows what it was. But it's just super comedic. You know, in the script, it says Mandy comes out with a face mask. So it's kind of just this whole, they also wanted to put this face mask on me, you know, those paper face masks, like not the ones, and it just looked so scary. And I was like, please don't, but like, no, you wouldn't have recognized
like
me.
Hannibal Lecter or something like that.
Yeah, so scary. And thank God, you know, Sofia was like, no, definitely not. Like, put her something kind of green, shiny. So, you know, they did that. But yeah, just the face mask moment, kind of the moment I come out, the way that Bill kind of says hi to us. But the relationship, you never know, you know, like I have a theory that they're just kind of friends, because that's how I felt until Jessica kind of said, no, like, we're probably lovers. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about it. But I don't know, I guess I like, sometimes it's nice to leave stuff up to the audience's interpretation.
When you what was it like sort of shooting with a face mask on? Like, I noticed someone that accidentally left one on last week. Like, it's the middle of winter here, the skin's cracking up. I'm like, I'm going to put a face mask on. I kind of left it on too long and it gets itchy and irritable.
Oh.
What was it like for you to like shoot with one on? Did you like go, well, we've got to keep it on for like a certain amount of time, then take it off and reapply?
So this is the secret. The secret of makeup. I don't think it wasn't a face mask. It was just face cream or some kind of cream with this kind of greenish makeup, like powder. I don't remember, but I don't think it was a face mask. So I actually forgot I had it on at all. Which is nice, yeah, because there's, you know, moments like we're filming with a wig or extensions or anything, and you're just like, oh, I have to have this on for hours. But luckily enough, it was not. It was very comfortable, and I forgot I was wearing it altogether.
What was sort of Sofia Coppola like as a director to work with? I mean, you nailed it earlier on, where like she is known as someone that directs women and young girls and talent like that. What was she like, you know, in that sort of night that you spent together, in terms of your personal interaction with her as sort of like a professional and an actress?
Absolutely. I remember she was wearing this like relaxed blue t-shirt. I know this isn't the question, but I just remember exactly what she was wearing. She was wearing this like chilled shirt and jeans. And I just remember thinking, like, her whole attitude was super nonchalant. You know, I'm personally a control freak, which is something I'm, you know, evolving with and letting go, learning to let go. But I saw this woman who was just like, she was just chilled. She was relaxed, you know. We did the scenes, like, she didn't say much. She would say a couple of things, maybe to Jessica, like, maybe try a little more like this now, you know, or like this. But definitely there wasn't there was no control. It was just the most relaxed sort of vibe that she had going on set, which was beautiful, you know, to work with. And then, you know, once she had the take, it was like next, you know, so you could tell, you know, she works quickly and efficiently. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, it just flowed really well.
What's it like when you finish shooting a scene like that in like the early hours of the morning? How do you like go to sleep at night after that experience of like, I shared a
I
scene with
know.
amazing actors, like one of my favorite directors. Like, is this my life peaking right now sort of feeling?
It's crazy. So it was, I remember we finished around 4 or 5 in the morning, and we got back at like 6 a.m. to the hotel. Well, it wasn't really a hotel, to these little like tents, right? So I had my own room, and I just got there, and I was just so grateful. You kind of just like decompress, you know, have a shower, kind of chill, and then you're also sort of the kind of the adrenaline, everything you get, I did feel exhausted. And I also had the flight the next day. So, you know, I kind of just like slept, super grateful. And you know, it's nice to leave everything on set. You know, it's not, obviously my line was high, but you think, you're thinking about it and like, how did it go? And, you know, everything. And was I too nervous? Because actually after that, those kind of scenes are so beautiful and crazy, or those auditions that you kind of come out the room and you don't actually remember what just happened. So, which I remember my acting teachers always said, like, if you don't remember what just happened, it's a good sign. It means you were in the moment. And so, yeah, I just kind of relaxed, went to sleep the next day. I had a swim in the ocean. I had breakfast. I was just super happy, and then took the flight back. So, but yeah, it was this crazy experience. And then you just forget about it. You know, when On the Rocks came out, you know, a year and a half later, it came out, and I saw it. I didn't even remember kind of the experience. You just kind of forget it, you know, because it's crazy how you do something in a film and it comes out so much later.
What was it like watching that movie for the first time? Did you get the chance to see it in a cinema? I was lucky enough to see it.
No, really.
Yeah, it was one of those ones
Oh,
like
that's beautiful.
it was crazy. I know you've touched on it being in Netflix. You've been in Netflix shows. I watched it as a double feature in the cinema with the trial Chicago 7 before the cinemas locked down here.
Oh yeah. I see it. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, and it was
Oh
crazy that
wow.
these Netflix and Apple films were selling out the cinemas here, just because those were the few options that we kind of had. But
Yeah.
it was great to see this reception to On the Rocks. What was your first experience like with film, and how did you get to watch it for the first time?
Well, it never came out here. That's kind of something that's kind of sad in Mexico. There are movie theaters, like a two, but right now, especially because of COVID and stuff, but definitely it didn't come out in the mainstream cinemas. Like I have gone to the theater, and it's super secluded. They like shut the rows and stuff. And I actually went the other day to see Greenland, which was actually really good. But anyways, no, I saw it. It came out like October 20 something, 21st, 22nd, and it was on Apple TV. So we bought Apple TV, like we bought our subscription to Apple TV, my boyfriend and I, and we have a projector in the room. So we just put the projector and we watched it, kind of really excited. And yeah, I mean, we watched it in the bedroom. But it was beautiful. I actually saw that they had a little like festival, the New York Film Festival, I think it was, that a couple of the actors and Coppola went and saw it with face masks and in their car, which looked really cute.
Yeah. What's it like to be in, I suppose it's similar to Netflix in a way, what's it like to be in an Apple TV film where people can watch it all around the world at like the click of a button? Does it bring a spotlight to sort of indie movies that can sometimes, you think of something like On the Rocks, usually it will have a few weeks in the cinema, word of mouth will come, then maybe more people will see it, but most will end up having to wait for DVD or something. What's it like when you have a film that's just released all over the world on phones, computers, and TVs on a single kind of night, and you're in it?
Well, so I think that's something really fortunate that we have now, which is, you know, streaming. I think everything comes out now on streaming. There's nothing you can't see these days, really. Like when there's a movie that you can't find, it's frustrating, and you're like, why, you know, why is it, how is this movie not online, you know? So with, I think Coppola did a very great marketing sort of tactic, you know, with the Apple TV. I think it's you know, I never had, Apple TV is, I think, fairly new. So it was really beautiful, kind of this big sort of thing. And it was always like, you know, one of the first movies that's going to be on Apple TV and, you know, come out right away on Apple TV rather. And so that's really cool. Netflix as well. Right. So Netflix, I'm a little scared of actually because of that question, because the show will come out and the show will be there for everyone to see. And you do obviously with this, well, it was a smaller character, but with the bigger character, it is the thing that you think of like, well, an actor literally sells their image, you know, because you're going to be there. And nowadays it's not a DVD. You are going to be online for the rest of time, you know, unless the internet disappears. So there's this strange sort of feeling that, you know, you get when you get kind of really conscious of what it is to have these streaming, to have these like, you know, online areas where you can just kind of see everything all the time, anyone, millions of people, you know, you start thinking that's crazy. Especially in Mexico here, there's every show that comes out here, there's a lot of like a big sense of like what it is to be a fan. Like there's just a lot of fans constantly, like per person here. It's weird if you have less than 10,000, 20,000 followers, you know, like I've got about 4,000 and it's super weird. Like everyone has like 1 million followers. It's really strange. And when I got here, I was like, that's so weird. Like really great bands in New York or actors, like they don't have that much and it's normal. But here it's kind of strange. So here they definitely they're constantly kind of watching what's going on. Is it Amazon? Is it Netflix? What's the show? And there's just a lot of that. So it's kind of, it sometimes does unsettle me a little bit, but it is what it is. I chose this career, so.
Does it come with an excitement as well? Like, think of it what you were touching on earlier, like you got scouted through sort of Instagram, for example. Does there present an excitement where if someone was, the fact that it's so global, someone can see you and go, who is that person? They can discover you quite easily, as opposed to, oh, we've maybe heard about this actress. Can you get me a DVD of this show that she was in? And maybe kind of struggle to find it. Go right, click on the button. Oh, that's Ximena.
So there's this balance of like, there's this one part of me that is scared, you know, that's such a, there's so much access to everything constantly. And it is there, for example, like seeing here, you know, there are people that it's very extreme here, you know. And then there's this other side that I'm so grateful because that has helped my job so much because of Instagram. The director of the, you know, indie horror film I did, that's how he found me. And then, you know, that's how this guy sort of like found me and then found my contact. So it definitely, I'm super grateful. And especially here, you can make a living out of it. I know it sounds ridiculous, you know, but this kind of influencer phase that we're going through in this generation, you know, it might last for another few months, you know. One day, tomorrow they delete Instagram and all these people, they won't have that, you know. But another part of it is like you have this say, you have this platform where you can say, change the world, kind of help, you know, give your opinions in a positive way, and people are going to listen, or whether if someone wants you to, you know, post something with their product and, you know, you make money out of that, you know, it's this beautiful chance to work and get, you know, to make money, you know, and at the end of the day, like we need to make money. So, you know, I'm really grateful for that, you know, that people can find me through that you have a voice. There's a lot of people like actors and musicians that I'm a huge fan of, Emma Stone, Frank Ocean, these people, they don't have that. And I also admire that a lot. Joaquin Phoenix, you know, Rooney Mara, they're this couple, this privacy that I admire. And so I'm always in that line, you know. I don't know if, you know, when it gets to those kind of numbers and those when I have a name in that sense, do I want like the privacy or do I keep that because it's having a voice? And right now I'm just in that kind of ideology of just having a balance, you know. It's not that you need to shut down everything and be super private, or it's not that you need to constantly be there talking and all of that, you know. There's this balance, and that's kind of what I how I see everything right now.
It'll be interesting to see what your Instagram followers are like the day after this TV show comes out on Netflix.
Yeah, I have.
Go
It's
sleep at
crazy.
4,000, wake up at 15,000 or something.
It's so crazy here. My friend, she did a Netflix show, and she's a protagonist in a Mexican Netflix show, and it came out in the summer. It's called Control Z, and it came. So she had 2.5K, and like I know this, I follow her, you know. The next day she had 500, 600. She has about 700 and something right now, 1,000. And yeah, you just wonder, like, just one TV show, this is like, how many people see it? And there's just a lot of fandom here. It's this weird kind of thing. But
it almost reminds me a little bit of, obviously in the more extreme end. I remembered watching that Taylor Swift documentary sort of earlier in the year.
Oh yeah, I love that documentary.
And there was so much debate and discussion about what is my private thoughts and what can I use my platform for, no matter how big or small, to influence change for sort of women's rights or women's issues, for example. I found that really quite an interesting sort of insight.
Yeah.
Into what it must be like for performers like yourself, Taylor Swift, whoever, to be, how do I use my platform as a musician or a talent, but also maybe make the change that I want to see happen in the world?
Absolutely. And she has such a way of, you know, she's one of those people like Selena Gomez or, you know, these big people that they can make a change. Definitely. Just through one post, you can make people donate something or whatever. So I love that documentary. I've seen it twice actually already. I'm a huge fan of hers. And it was this thing of this, she was private in a way, politically, right? And then, you know, she told stories through her songs. Her lyrics are very, very personal. However, they're ambiguous. You know, I hear her new album. She released an album about 2 days ago, which is amazing. And she names albums, the songs like names of people she knows and stuff. And I'm never going to know who that person is or what the story really is. You know, there's a song about like denying a proposal, and you're like, is this with her boyfriend or you know, are they still together? You know, you wonder stuff, but at the end of the day, she has kept very private with her life, her song, despite the fact that her songs are so personal. And I actually I always thought it, you know, when people made comments on how she doesn't say her political opinion and what is it and why not. I think people should just stick to themselves, and it's, you know, what anyone wants to say. Obviously in the movie, it shows that she wanted to and she couldn't. Mm-hmm. So that's a different thing. You know, I'm so glad she followed her gut to really say something, and she has made a change, I believe. So it is that kind of, again, the fine line of balance of like, what do you share, what do you not share? I think she's managed to keep her personal life very private, which is beautiful. And I think I love that. You know, there's a lot of people here that they don't do that. It's just kind of like all in the papers, all on their page, all on Instagram and stuff. And I do think that privacy is important. And for me, at the end of the day, you know, someone else might not care. So it's just what everyone is like. I realize it. I stopped judging a long time ago because it's just, everyone's different, we're all different. And like the minute I judge something, the same situation happens to me, you know, like at the end of the day, we don't know what it is like to be in other people's shoes. But definitely I think that it's exactly what I was telling you. Yeah, just having a balance, because one day I'm going to want to say something, you know, or one day, and I don't have a doubt that I will have these kind of numbers and followers and people. So I'm excited to have that voice in many ways, but it's also a little scary.
It's obviously been a challenging year for sort of performers and the arts. How have things been for you, and how are you adapting to this new normal for creating film and TV, the bubbles, the protectiveness? How have things been for you this crazy year?
They've actually been, I'm so grateful. They've been really good for me, to be honest. You know, there's a lot of struggle going on with work and everything. And for me, I don't know how or why, but, you know, doing the show at the start of the year and then stopping it, Netflix helped us economically a little bit. I was really grateful for, you know, what they paid me for that show. And then, you know, right with it, because of the COVID and stuff, they were scared to not just go and just film season 2 right away. So we filmed season 2 right away. That was, again, economically for me, really a lot of support. I got to work, you know, I had, you know, 7 months of going crazy of, I can't act. I might never be able to act, in a really long time. So I got to act again, which was awesome. And during this whole year, since last December, I was applying, like auditioning for this film, and I booked it in May, and like we still haven't even started shooting, but it's the most insane project. I'm so excited. We've done a lot of rehearsals with the director, and now they actually had just started filming about a week ago, and then they were going to pause for December, January. But I think they stopped again because of COVID. So, it has been complicated because this film is literally the film of my dreams. I can't say a lot about it because it's super secret at all. But it is this kind of thing where it's like on and off. And it's just like, I just want to film it and do it. We were going to film in April and then it wasn't. Then I got booked in May and we were going to film in June, and now we're still not. We haven't really started yet. So that's that kind of that on and off sort of energy that's going on with all of us. It's hard, So, but I've also been very grateful, and at the same time, I think I needed those 7 months to kind of get to know myself, and I think we can all say the same thing probably a lot more. And as an actor, I've grown and as a human, I've grown in ways that I cannot imagine to have grown, if I had just kept on, because when you're filming, it's automatic. It's like, I got to do this scene. I have to show up tomorrow. I have to sleep. I have to show up the next day. You're not thinking that, you're not, conscious in the same way maybe as you are when you're just not doing anything at all. So I'm very grateful for all of those things.
We pose this question to everyone we have on the show. What's your opinion of A24, and what are some of the highlights of the filmography for you?
I knew you were going to ask that. Yesterday I was about to watch The Lighthouse, which I didn't get a chance to. Yeah, I'm so excited to watch it. I'm probably going to watch it today. So I was always obsessed with A24 because it was like, I'm an actor and I want to be an indie actress. And so like, you're like A24 and then this, so I'm not a fan of their horror films. Like I've seen Hereditary, I've seen Midsommar, I saw this year I saw it, and like, it's heavy stuff. It's really like, so I have a theory, like they love that stuff. There's this kind of like weird culty vibe that they have, which is really, it's cool, to have that. And I knew you were going to ask that, and I was thinking about it because, so for example, I like that more commercial, directors that you think would have gone the more commercial way came to A24, such as Greta Gerwig, for Lady Bird. So yeah, these kind of movies that they're there, and so they've in a way it's nice, and in a way it's like but to commercialize indie film, to make, because Lady Bird was nominated, and these kind of films, Call Me by Your Name, this other indie film, it's nominated, and so more people want to watch these kind of movies that at first people are like, who would watch a movie that nothing really happened, or that's what people think of indie film, like, I'm a huge fan of Andrea Arnold's, for example, and it's kind of this these movies that you watch and like nothing really happens to the trajectory of the movie, but it's so beautiful. I love A24 because you don't see a film there that you're watching it and you're just like, oh, this isn't natural, or all the actors, I've never seen one that it doesn't fail to impress me. It's honest. The work is honest. The work is organic. The scripts are unique. You mentioned Ghost Story. These kind of films that are just kind of magically real because they're real, but they're surreal at the same time. Also, Bo Burnham. I was a fan of his when he did this his one-man show What years ago, and so Eighth Grade was also really beautiful to watch. That's a perfect example of what I mean as real. You're watching Eighth Grade and you're feeling that girl's anxiety, and you're feeling her little, her big problems at that time, at that age, and you're identifying completely with it. So I love A24. I think they're always choosing different stuff. Some of their stuff is intense. I think Gaspar Noé's Climax is in there, and
I love that
those kind of
scene so much of Climax.
So for me, Climax was, I I had to finish watching it without sound because it was
screaming
so
baby
discomforting.
still terrifies me.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But yeah, I love their work, and I one day will hopefully, if I produce, maybe produce with them. Do they have Uncut Gems? I'm a huge fan of the Safdie brothers. Good Time, Uncut Gems. Their first, Heavens Knows What, I had to stop watching it again, a little too grotesque for me. But yeah, huge fan of their work too. So I think also identify with it. I think if I was going to write a movie and direct a movie one day, it would be I would team up with them for sure.
If people wanted to keep up to date with any of your sort of news or work that's on the horizon, what's the best sort of websites or social media that you'd recommend people to check out?
Yeah, for sure. I literally just have Instagram. That's the only social media that I manage. And it's just Ximena Lamadrid, but so my name is with an X. It's really strange, but it's just XIMENA LAMADRID. That's my Instagram, just my name.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today, to go behind the scenes of On the Rocks, talk about your amazing career, and have a good chat about Taylor Swift as well. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you
so much for coming on.
No, it's been a pleasure for me as well. Thank you so much. It was fun to do this. Like this is my first sort of interview podcast. Okay. This is my first podcast ever.